fast and relentlessly playable, allowing you to restart at the tap of a button and therefore gloss over any mistakes with stupidly amazing combos. It's a series of ultra cool moments, each flick, trick and grind a blazing millisecond of brilliance. The problem with blazing milliseconds, though, is that when you add hundreds of thousands of them together, you still get blazing 7 hours. Honourable mentions to the likes of Hotline Miami and Trials Fusion here, two other games that entice you with instant restarts and reward you with intense, flashy wonderment practically all the time. Slow burners these are not, but Ollie Ollie 2 makes the grade because there's always something extra you can do. Beat that score, do it faster, chuck in some revert manuals, make every landing perfect, now do it on pro, now unlock rad mode, now go to bed. Joking. You can't go to sleep yet because we've got one more game left now. I don't think I've actually mentioned this title in a Friday feature before because what this game did to me was so intense that I try not to talk about it. Persona 4 Golden. I'll never forgive you. Yes, so you're one of the best JRPGs ever made, and you've got a soundtrack that made my ears cry waxy tears of delight. But please, can I sleep now? What's that Persona 4? If I just make some envelopes, my diligence will increase. Well, why didn't you say so? Persona 4's genius lies in the fact it divides your in-game time into days. You go to school, you learn new skills, you form relationships with your classmates, you save people from a mysterious enemy who murders them by sucking them into a television. The crux being you'll always find yourself wanting to play just one more day, just one more. I mean, they only take about 10 real-life minutes, so another one won't hurt. It also doesn't help that Persona 4 has one of the most intriguing plot lines in any game I've played, and a cast so rich and likeable you end up feeling slightly deflated when you put down the PS Vita and realise they're not your actual friends. The solution being, of course, to not put the PS Vita down and just keep playing Persona 4 forever. After I've sent a little text, of course. Hi, Nathan. 8 dodgy Indian. There we go, 7 video games you can't stop playing until at least 4 AM. Let us know in the comments which of these had you staying up all hours, and indeed if there are any you think we've missed out. Leave us a like too, because that's only polite, and subscribe for more of these videos every Friday. Thanks for watching. Hello, you've caught me thinking about etiquette, a series of unwritten social rules that govern our behaviour in any given situation. For instance, movie watching etiquette dictates you sit down, shut up, and most definitely don't use your mobile phone unless you want me to stare at you and tut inwardly. Good corridor etiquette has you stopping to hold doors open for other people, bonus goody two-shoes points for allowing those other people through the door before you, and British tea time etiquette often creates a never-ending decorum loop of not eating the last biscuit under any circumstances. Then, of course, there's video game etiquette, a series of virtual courtesies afforded by every self-respecting gamer to their online or couch co-op peers. Skipping replays, not gloating too much when you win, or moaning too much when you lose. Simple things that help make gaming a more relaxing and enjoyable pastime. Unless, of course, you pull one of these 7 jerk moves guaranteed to annoy the hell out of everyone. Our first entry is somewhat of an epidemic occurring with infuriating regularity on the multiplayer battlegrounds of FIFA. Nathan and Dave have recently started playing co-op seasons together at lunchtime, and they see this happen pretty much every time they score a goal. Pausing, and then waiting for the pause countdown to tick, 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 slowly down to 0. It's such a puerile piece of sportsmanship, the virtual equivalent of pretending you're injured and rolling about in the centre circle to make absolutely sure the game can't continue until you've been seen to. Pauses, a term I've cleverly just coined, are, and I say this without restraint, absolute scum. There's no reason you need to pause the game for that long, is there? If you want to bring Isco on for Modric, it doesn't take 30 FIFA seconds, does it? No, you're just being an appalling loser. And if I'm criticising you for being an appalling loser, there really must be problems. But it's not just that. You can tell what kind of person is on the other end of a FIFA pause. The kind of person who's hoping you'll just quit the game out of impatience. The kind of person who, when they score, will force you to sit through the replay from every angle. The kind of person who knows Ronaldo's every skill move by heart, but has forgotten the command for pass. The kind of person that makes me so mad, even seeing you puts me in a better mood. Don't get the wrong idea, I still hate him. Next up, it's a tactic that's been the bane of FPS players since the dawn of online multiplayer. Camping. Oh, is there anything more infuriating? You've just skillfully fought your way to a nice healthy kill streak. You've captured a zone or a flag or a hard point or whatever the latest cool word for MacGuffin is. Basically, you're on a roll, and then pop. Your life is ended by some cowardly sniper who's been hiding behind the same rock miles away from the action for the entire round. In fact, the annoyance at campers is matched only by the satisfaction of rooting them out of their hidey holes and blasting their faces open with a shotgun. You pin down their position, sneak around the back and observe them for a while. There they are, tent erect, little folding out armchair with a coffee cup holder standing by, marshmallows toasting over a roaring fire, and bang! Camping trip over. New subscriber, meet Nathan. Regular viewer? Sorry, it's Nathan. Anyway, Nathan is quite good at fighting games like Tekken and Soul Calibur. He spent hours with the latter, honing the fluid combo skills of Peck-Perfect Samurai and Walking Shampoo advertisement Mitsurugi. And so, when he challenged Dave to a casual round of virtual fisticuffs one lunchtime, he did so with the easy smile of a man confident in his ability to crush his opponent into dust.
So what are the controls?
What Nathan didn't account for was the third entry on our list. Victory by button bashing. I can feel white-hot tendrils of fury searing through my veins just saying that damn phrase. There really is nothing worse than being absolutely, unequivocally, scientifically better at a game than someone.
Yes, actually, it says here that Nathan is absolutely better than Dave at Soul Calibur 5.
And then having that someone win by backing you into a corner and spamming you with ankle kicks while you fail to string together any of the combos it took you your entire second year at university to memorize. It's like arguing with an idiot. Doesn't matter how eloquently correct you are, they'll always find a way to dismantle you.
But of course you're not better than me, Dave. You don't even know how to use the block. Were you using the control?
We spoke earlier about pausers being bad losers and how that's really annoying, and it is. But perhaps even more infuriating than not knowing how to lose gracefully is not knowing how to win gracefully. It's happened to us all, hasn't it? You get downed in a multiplayer game, you're waiting to respawn, but before you can, your conqueror sidles up to your temporary corpse, mischief in their knees, and then, down they go. Toggle teabagging your face so furiously you'd think there were bonus points available for doing it more than 10 times in 5 seconds. At least teabagging has, in my experience, cooled over the last few years, but that's not because we've grown out of it. No, it's because we found new, even more hilarious ways to gloat insufferably. In Destiny, my favourite, the graceless winner's favourite thing to do is dance over their beaten foes, as if the whole thing was no big deal and like they could totally kill you again whenever they want, so they're just going to drop their guard and do the Colton, despite the fact they're in the middle of a super tight game of Control. The first online game I ever played was the original Metal Gear Online that came bundled with Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence on PS2, and I remember you could do this weird sideways strafing motion even while crouched, and it made the teabagging particularly hardcore. Dave, I don't know if you want to lie down so we can demonstrate. You ready? Okay, so you'd be crouched, and then you'd start doing the sideways strafing motion. If you did it back and forth like this, it would obviously be really even more awful for the person that you just killed. And if you wanted to be extra annoying, you could press triangle and salute them. The Witness is a game that's brought entry number 5 into stark relief: backseat gaming. Take one person who's played the game for 10 hours, one person who's played the game for 10 minutes, sit them down with the latter at the controls, and simmer.
Shut up!
Number 6 is trash talking, which is what happens when you either suck bad or win hard against someone whose only riposte is to engage in message warfare, either in-game or on PSN, in an attempt to make you feel bad about yourself. Here are some fine examples of trash talk people have sent my way, totally unprovoked, of course. How does it feel to know you're the worst player I've ever seen? Seriously, my dog is better than you. You. Are you playing from the cave? You laggy. You are a lame. Defend or GTFO. Some poetry here. Roses are red, violets are blue. Your at COD, you big noob. Let's all just be nice to each other, which means definitely not doing our final entry, which has to be, hands down, the most annoying move you can pull on your fellow gamer: the rage quit. Even though games like FIFA punish rage quitters, it's still incredibly irritating behaviour to find yourself on the wrong end of, mainly because it wipes away the warm, fuzzy wholeness you feel after a well-earned victory, and creates a really unsatisfactory ending. I'm just kidding, I never rage quit a Friday feature. Games, I admit, I rage quit all the time. Sometimes I even rage break games. Bloodborne, Pairs Master League, Gwent in The Witcher 3. If you can lose in it, I've rage quitted it, although I've never done it to an actual human being in multiplayer, which is the absolute worst. Keep your dignity. There's nothing gamers respect more than a player who humbly accepts defeat. Why not go that one step further? Send a PSN message. Well played, good game, let's go again sometime. And then subscribe and like this video, and let us know if there are any other examples of poor video game etiquette you can think of. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Hello, you've caught me thinking about the nature of good and evil. Most of the time it's pretty clear cut. Good, evil, good, evil. But increasingly the divide between heroes and villains has become more of an indistinct smudge than the pin-sharp moral road markings we're all used to. Good guys on the left, bad guys on the right. Now we've got a gaggle of not quite sure guys hanging about in the middle, being all grown up and morally grey, which is good. It means video game storytelling is becoming more nuanced and driven by player choice. What it also means is that you'll often be in control of characters who, while you still feel a strong affinity for them, have done some very naughty things indeed. Here are 7 times it turns out you were the bad guy all along. Naturally, this video will contain spoilers for... well, if I tell you what games are going to be spoiled, that's kind of a spoiler already, isn't it? So don't watch this video unless you've finished all games ever. First up, we've got Spec Ops: The Line. On the surface, a straightforward cover shooter where you control a righteous squad of Western soldiers off to shoot bad people from somewhere else. This is good, you'll think, squatting among the ruins of Dubai as you fire justice from your gun with a character voiced by Nolan North, who everyone knows only plays goodies.
Unless he's doing an accent, obviously.
Until you get to that bit, with the white phosphorus and the dead civilians that you killed and the haunting close-up on this mother and child. There's a venomous parallel between the actions of Walker and you, the player. You're only doing what you're told to do, aren't you? Go to this checkpoint, press those buttons, kill these meaningless people. But very rarely are you forced to think about the innocents you've casually massacred, much less stare into their peeling eye sockets.
It's harrowing, it's brilliant, and no matter how much you and Walker try to offload responsibility, there's no denying that you are the villain of this piece.
Illusion shattered, narrative knife twisting in your guts. Ouch. Get me out of here. But don't put me here. The ending sequence of The Last of Us inside the hospital. No, it's dark and hard, and I don't agree with what Joel does, etc., etc.
Although that didn't stop me killing all 3 surgeons when really just one would do.
I'm immersed, though. I'm role-playing what turns out to be an increasingly sadistic, self-centered nut job. For an entire game now, I've been making excuses for him. Oh, he had to kill those men because otherwise they'd have killed him. He had to butcher that lot because he was protecting Ellie. He had to shoot Marlene in the face because otherwise she'd have acted in the interest of the greater good and possibly found a cure for the mushroom apocalypse.
Yeah.
Look, I know what happened to Joel in the past was awful. I know what drives him. It's raw emotion, not logic. But when that passion overrides sense and he murders innocent people and acts against Ellie's will, especially when you consider the events of Left Behind, it does make you think about Joel, doesn't it? He's a very good killer, and he pretty much kills anyone who gets in the way of what he wants. He's viewed by other characters as a madman, and all the while we're thinking, no, not Joel, he's different. But this ending, this here, and then this lie.
I swear.
Naughty Joel. Naughty.
Sometimes in games you know you're playing as a nasty piece of work, like in GTA 5 with Trevor. Sometimes you can choose to be a jerk, like in Infamous or Mass Effect.
And sometimes the game plays you and you unwittingly bumble about, blissfully ignorant of your own character's secret demons, such is the case with Silent Hill 2, one of the greatest horror games of all time, not because it's utterly terrifying and has fog and oddly limbed nurses, even though all those things are true, but because it fiddles with your mind strings like a wicked puppet master. Initially, you arrive in the eerie town with a letter from your wife Mary, who died of sickness 3 years before. Everything is weird. You run about. You soil yourself thanks to the omnipresent psychological terror. So far, so very survival horror.
Then the twist happens and we find out why Silent Hill is populated by writhing sex mannequins and a man with a shape for a face.
It's your fault. Every horror you face is a manifestation of James's guilt because he killed his wife. Pyramid Head is there to punish you, so really, Pyramid Head is the righteous arm of justice, and you are a bad guy who deserves to die, or at least be scared witless by one of the most effective horror games ever made. Next up, we've got Gabriel Belmont from Castlevania Lords of Shadow, outwardly an honourable warrior voiced by Robert Carlyle, who's really very good at carving up mythical nasties with a chain whip in the shape of a holy cross. If anyone's going to turn out bad in this game, you'd put your money on Zobek, and ding ding ding, you'd be right. Listen to him waffle on and on before Satan himself has to come down and serve him his just desserts.
You, as Belmont, then have to fight and kill Satan, which is like the ultimate stamp of goodiness. I mean, nothing you do is going to get you more brownie points than offing the devil.
But wait, what's this? A post-credits ending sequence has us following Zobek into a dang cold church where he's met by a very, very, very old and haggard-looking Gabriel Belmont. who is now also Dracula. Yes, the big bad of the entire Castlevania series. Yep, you've been playing as pre-Dracula the entire time, and it gets worse in Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, where near the start you're forced to feed on an innocent family to slake your thirst for blood. Who'd have thought a man who killed his wife would do such a thing? Oh yeah, he killed his wife too, didn't he?
Next up, we've got a character from Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number, and yes, you could justifiably say every character in Hotline Miami is a murdering scumbag anyway.
But none are as bad as Psycho Cop Manny Pardo, who likes to wind down after a hard day's crime fighting by going on the odd killing spree or 5. What's wrong with that, you might ask? Going out for a killing spree is the Hotline Miami equivalent of taking a cigarette break. What's the big deal? Well, you know that mad serial killer Pardo is after, the Miami Mutilator. Well, spoilers, Pardo is the Miami Mutilator. So it turns out that in Hotline Miami 2, you've been playing as a murderous psychopath all along. Who'd have thought? Our penultimate entry this week is from the Tekken series, and yes, I know that technically it's a beat-em-up and you can control anyone, but there is a sort of protagonist, at least from Tekken 3 onwards, and his name is Jin Kazama. Now, quick story recap for those of you who don't know Tekken. Jin is part of the Mishima clan, a family so screwed up they make Metal Gear Solid Snake triplets seem positively harmonious. Heihachi is Grandad Mishima, a greedy bloke with silly hair and big fists who doesn't like sharing anything, not even with his son Kazuya, who's Jin's dad.
So Kazuya and Heihachi chuck each other down volcanoes for a couple of games in a competition to see who can be the most horrible person in the world, until Tekken 3, when Jin appears in a blaze of pure protagonist light.
Jin's nice for a Mishima. He has friends, he goes to school, he hits people respectfully. He turns into a flying demon like his dad. Ah, Jin, we had such hopes for you. Turns out by Tekken 6, you're even more evil than your dad and granddad.
I never liked him anyway. Ever since my mate Darren spammed that twirly double-level kick attack that he does. You know, the one that goes high, low, low, high. Oh. None of those wins count Darren. Doing Jin's high, low, low, high, twirly kick attack is as bad as being Eddie.
He's the killer.
You say that every time there's like a whodunit or
No, I
something on
bet
the
he
TV.
is.
You can't just look at the first character that comes on and go,
He's got a
"Who's the
sly face."
He's investigating the murder.
Well, what better way to cover up your tracks?
Oh, Mum, you are silly. There's no way Scott Shelby from Heavy Rain is the origami killer. He's too nice. He beats up bad people and cooks eggs. Would a murderer cook eggs? No. Yes, our final entry, Scott Shelby, is to this day part of one of the biggest plot twists I can remember in a game. It's tragic and horrific all at once. Turns out the reason he likes kidnapping and then drowning young boys is because his brother drowned when they were younger, and recreating the grisly scene obviously helps him deal with his grief, I don't know, anyway. The knowledge you've been aiding a serial killer all the way through Heavy Rain hits pretty hard, not least because it means my mother was right.
I told you.
Oh, well
I
done,
told
well done. Mark it on your score.
Oh, that's it. Get all annoyed because I was
1
right
out of
and
67.
you were
About
wrong.
1 out of 67.
Oh, you can't help yourself, can you? Got to have the
Do you
last
remember when you
word
had that
all
theory
the
that
time.
Dumbledore was Voldemort in Harry Potter?
I'm telling you, he would look the same if you shaved his hair and eyebrows.
Anyway, there are 7 times you were the bad guy all along. Let us know if you can think of any other examples like this video if you're feeling kind. Watch another one by clicking one of the links on screen and subscribe for more of them every Friday. Thanks for watching.
hello, you've caught me breaking the rules, because look at me, with my plain clothes and no tattoos and uneventful upbringing. I'm a real rebel.
Especially when it comes to video games. Mate, I'm off the chain. You can't tell me what to do. Use a manual. Think I've got time for your advice? Health and safety precautions? Pah! I'm a renegade, a maverick, sticking it to the man like the man's Majin Buu, and I'm Super Saiyan Goku, doing the Kamehameha over and over in training mode. I mean, I'm very naughty, really.